In a speech at MIT in 1994, His Highness the Aga Khan once said that in encounters between people and cultures, much depends on the path each has taken to that point. As human beings, we are shaped by the almost infinite amount of things we encounter on a daily basis. His Highness has also stressed the importance of the future generation. We must invest time, money, and knowledge to ensure that they can thrive. After all, they are the future. So where do young, impressionable minds encounter the most new ideas? School. School is such a crucial part of making sure that everyone's innate talents can be realized. So, how did we get to the current education system? Throughout history, there have been numerous examples of learning institutions with different motivating factors. For example, the Seljuk madrasa system was controversial because many believed that it propagated a certain mindset within its students. So how did we get to the current Canadian system and what motivates that? In the early 19th century, Horace Mann, an English politician, invented the system with industrialized focus at hand. With the system, those with above average conventional intelligence would succeed and those with other gifts would fall behind. The overall idea was for this system to create the industrial workers, the factory workers of the future, who had a respect for authority and punctuality. But is that really what we need today? So in order to examine some of the flaws of the current school system, first we must examine what the ultimate goal of school actually is. Some might say it's to set children up for success, to prepare them for the future, maybe even to discover their talents. But I propose that these things aren't happening as much as they need to be. As Sir Ken Robinson said in his talk, Changing Education Paradigms, this system is based on the interests of industrialism. He compares the school to a factory with its ringing bells, its specialization, its separate facilities. The children are sorted by date of manufacture instead of their interests. And it feels like everything's becoming more and more standardized. When people have such a diverse group of interests and talents and passions, then why are we judging them on the exact same thing? Furthermore, it seems that instead of using our imaginations, we have to regurgitate, memorize information from textbooks and just rewrite it on the test. And it seems like the only reason we're doing this is because we have to get the high grades, the high-paying job, the prestigious university. We need to redefine success. One example that I think of this factory-driven school system is my school's motto, building fine young men one boy at a time. Now, I take issue with this because instead of thinking of an environment where people can learn and grow at their own pace, what I see is a production line where robots are being input with information. But is there an alternative to this? In a hadith, Prophet Muhammad once said, "Seek knowledge even if in China, for the seeking of knowledge is incumbent upon every Muslim." For me, this meant more than just travel far and wide to seek knowledge. It meant to seek knowledge at every opportunity possible. And I feel like we are restricting ourselves to learning in one specific place currently with our current system, in the classroom. When I was in grade 8, I was taking a math class, and we were learning the topic of surface area. I was struggling to concentrate and grasp the concept because, let's be honest, surface area isn't that interesting. But one day, the teacher introduced a project to us. We were going to be using a 3D software to make a playground of our own. And we had a certain amount of materials, a certain budget, and each material costed a certain amount. I found that as I built that playground, these concepts that were so foreign to me just a couple days ago were suddenly becoming easier and easier to understand because I was doing something I was interested in. The moral of the story is, people learn differently, and we need to accommodate for that. We can try creative learning, projects instead of tests, problem solving instead of formula application, hands-on learning. In the current system, people are failing not because they're stupid or aren't willing to put in effort, but because there's a very specific skill set which the system relies heavily on that not everyone possesses. And the idea of unconventional learning isn't new. Royal women in the Mughal Empire learned astronomy, poetry, landscaping, mystical thought, and much more in what was a very well-rounded education. More recently, just 30 years ago, the Aga Khan Development Network helped set up the madrasa system in East Africa, where children learn cooking, playing and interacting with others, music, and much more essential skills which they'll certainly use in their future. And I feel like many Western schools are missing out on these important skills. But even closer to home, the Tinkering School in San Francisco promotes an environment where children can build whatever they want. They're given time, tools, and the trust necessary to do whatever they can dream of. Here they learn problem solving, they learn time management, they learn how to build things, and they learn that failure is one big part of the learning cycle. So what can we learn from these examples? We need creative solutions to new challenges. For example, climate change. Currently, we've been struggling with conventional means of thought to solve such a big issue. But if we're to solve something like this, we need to approach it in a creative way. And if we're able to foster that creativity within children from a young age, then that will become possible. Secondly, a new definition of success: genuine, happy adults. If children are allowed to realize what they're passionate about at an earlier age, then we'll see far less students choosing the career path which makes the most money, rather than the one that makes them truly happy. And lastly, give everyone a proper chance. So many people have dropped out of elementary school, high school, university, because they feel like they can't keep up. But if we're able to accommodate for their learning needs, then we'll have much more success with educating society and less unemployment and poverty as a whole. I'd like to end off with a few words from His Highness the Aga Khan about the type of education he strives for at his Aga Khan universities. Educating future leaders is a high responsibility. To do it well, we must look beyond the world which is passing from sight and turn our eyes to the uncharted world of the future. We must rise above the antiquated approach of earlier days and instead infuse our students with what I would call the 3 A's of modern learning. The spirit of anticipation, the spirit of adaptation, and the spirit of adventure. This will happen best in learning environments which are both serious and focused on one hand, but which are joyous and inspiring places operating on the cutting edge of pedagogy and knowledge. Thank you.